Welcome back to our podcast at Home on the Lakeshore, where we talk about home loans with our local home loan experts here at UnitedOne Credit Union. My name is Mike, and this is episode number 19. Today, we have some special guests joining us in our virtual studio. I'd like to say hello and welcome to Todd Glover and Sarah Musial. They're both with Todd Glover State Farm Agency that have offices in Manitowoc and Cedar Grove. Hello and welcome to the show.
We appreciate you having us. It's good to be on.
Excellent. Thank you. We know our listeners like to get some area of expertise when it comes to things that involved in the home buying process and the home ownership process. And when it comes to insurance, there's certainly a lot of things that can be involved there. And we want to help share some of that news with our listeners, whether they're somebody that owns a home currently or is looking to buy a home. There are certain considerations that they'll certainly want to have when it comes to insurance and that whole process. And we're here to help at UnitedOne, and I know you are as well. So before we get started in today's topic, I would be remiss if we didn't give Julie her opportunity for her joke of the show. So Julie, if you're ready, you can take it away.
I am ready. Are you ready?
I don't know if we're ready.
So.
All right. Why are frogs always so happy?
I don't know. Why are frogs always so happy?
Because they eat whatever bugs them.
Ah.
Oh, insert the drum.
I didn't say they were good.
Julie, the queen of dad jokes.
Yeah, yes. I feel that one.
Yeah. Todd, Sarah, welcome to our show. And the quality of entertainment that we provide, right? It's second to none.
Yep.
All righty. Okay. Well, on that note, let's jump to today's topic. Okay. So if it wasn't clear enough already in the introduction of our special guest joining us today, we will be talking about insurance and how understanding insurance can impact you as a homeowner or someone looking to buy their first home. So we do have a few areas that we want to dive into. And one of the questions was when we're talking about the conversation of replacement value versus the actual cash value of the home. Todd, Sarah, could one of you walk us through that aspect?
Yeah, I'll start and then maybe give Sarah a chance to jump in. So first off, the point we'd like to make is it's possible to have a policy that's called a replacement cost policy that in certain circumstances may not actually cover the roof in that fashion. And so what we really encourage everyone who's shopping and who's looking is to sit down with a professional who can go through the policy to make sure that it's not most of the time replacement cost, but all of the time replacement cost. Where we see this most is with respect to roofs, with the damage being hail and wind. That's a big risk in our area, probably the primary risk that we have. And so not understanding that could result in $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 out of pocket to you. And we're seeing a lot of confusion that's in the market. Sarah, would you like to add anything or talk about kind of how our policies work that might help folks?
I guess on the same note, I would say too, the roof is the most important thing lately that we've been seeing. There are some companies out there that are excluding roofs altogether, depending on the age of the roof. So really knowing what you're getting and sitting down with somebody, like Todd said, to see how they pay out claims, how they cover roof damage. Is it actual cash value? Is it replacement cost? Because that could be potentially a huge out-of-pocket expense for somebody if they were to have a claim and not fully aware of what they had in their policy.
So an actionable item for maybe your listeners is if somebody's offering something that has a price that's significantly different than everything else in the market, that should probably be ringing some bells, and that would be a good kind of, hey, I need to sit down and take a look at this. Or if you had an existing policy and all of a sudden something significant changed on that, that might also be a trigger that, hey, I might want to have a professional take a look at this make sure that I don't get.
So, question for you, and just for my own knowledge now, so not like all insurances don't evaluate that like a roof the same is
Correct.
basically kind of what you're. Okay,
That is
that's
exactly what I'm saying.
eye-opening for
And
me because
20
I
years
thought,
ago,
yeah,
30 years ago, there was a lot more similarities than differences between homeowners policies. And what has happened over time is the market, we call it has hardened. Companies have looked for opportunities to control cost. And unfortunately, one of those ways is by limiting coverage, which there would be nothing wrong with that if the consumer was aware of it and they chose that. But what we're seeing is a lot of folks don't necessarily understand. They're just like, hey, I can save $100 a year. This seems like a good deal, not realizing they may be, like I said, literally $10, $20, $30,000 out of pocket if they don't understand the provisions of their policy.
interesting, very interesting. Good information.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So at your agency, would you guys offer free reviews of people's current insurance plans for guidance?
Yes.
Absolutely. What we say is at no cost to you. It's definitely not free to do it, but we think it's important that people understand what their policy does for them. I don't know about you, but for most households, insurance, it's a line item on the budget. It's not an insignificant amount, and just like you would with your physical health, you go to the doctor every year, not because something's wrong, but because preventatively you want to make sure there's nothing going on that you need to be aware of before something bad happens. We recommend the same thing. We offer it to all of our existing clients. We also offer to prospective clients that might be out there. And if you're like, hey, I haven't looked around, I haven't sat down with my folks for years, Sarah, one of our licensed team, would be happy to sit down, show you what you have. There's no obligation. We just want you to understand what the provisions are so that there are none of those big surprises that are out there. Sarah, do you want to kind of talk about what that might look like or what folks might do if they're interested in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's easiest if you can bring in your current policies so we can see what you have. Otherwise we're kind of guessing and we don't really know. And we'll just, go through line by line to see how you're covered. And if you feel that that's adequate coverage, we may recommend making some changes. Like Todd said, you aren't obligated. Even current customers that we have that might be shopping, thinking their rate went up, we always offer them to bring us the quotes in that they have, and we're happy to sit down to make sure that what they're getting is, as good of coverage as they had with us or better, nothing less than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. One of the other areas that we wanted to talk about was the different kinds of coverages that are out there. I mean, you've already talked about hail, especially in our area here on the Wisconsin shoreline, and roofs. But what are some of the other coverages that might be out there, such as like wind, flood, fire, and even sump pumps and sewer backups and things like that?
Yeah, so I'll tee it up and then maybe let Sarah dive in a little bit. So one of the big misconceptions that's out there surrounds flood. So a true flood, so water that's flowing across and down into your home, is excluded from every homeowner's policy that's out there. Doesn't matter who's issuing it. Flood is an excluded cause of loss. The only way to get coverage for that is to get a flood policy. And that's back through the federal government on that. Now, agencies such as ourselves can do that for you. Certainly, if you're in a floodplain and you have a mortgage, you're going to be required to do that. But there are also people that are in what's called a preferred, or hey, it's not likely to happen, but if it could be catastrophic. And so, again, if you have questions about that, sit down and talk with a local professional who could help you with that. The second piece surrounds, you mentioned sump pumps, backup a sewer drain, and that is another provision that's typically excluded from all policies that are out there. Some companies, like our own, State Farm, will allow you to purchase some coverage back so that whether it's a sump pump that fails, whether it's a sewer that comes up, anytime that water's coming like this, bottom up, you want to be able to get that taken care of, because that can be very expensive, and B, that also can be very nasty because it's not always clean water. So Sarah, do you want to talk about kind of how that coverage works, or add anything to how we might be able to help folks with that?
I mean, it's a great coverage to have. I always add it to everybody's homeowners that I quote. It is optional, so they don't have to take it. But it offers you, our policy offers either 5% of your personal property amount that you carry, or 10% would be coverage that you would have for your basement, if the sump pump failed or your sewer drain backed up. That would, cover a restoration company coming in to clean or dry out the basement, anything damaged down there that needs to be replaced, carpeting, drywall, furniture. So I feel it's a great thing to have, because that can also be a very messy and big expense if it were to happen to somebody. And it is a more common claim that does happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. We are being joined today by Todd and Sarah with Todd Glover State Farm Agency, with offices in Manitowoc and in Cedar Grove. And we appreciate you joining us today to give us some area of your expertise talking about insurance, because we know our show geared towards people that own their own homes or looking to purchase their own homes, that insurance is a major part of that. This is one of the largest purchases, if not the largest purchase you're going to make of your life. And you want to make sure it's protected. You want to make sure that you've got the right policy in place, and that you're not overpaying, but paying for what you need to protect that asset, because you've worked so hard your whole life to do that. So we have these experts joining us today. We are coming up on time for this show, but we are going to have our special guest join us on the next episode as well. So stick around. We'll have some more questions for Todd and Sarah in our next episode. But thank you very much, folks, for joining us today. And we'd like to thank Todd and Sarah for joining us today. They'll be back again next time. And we'd like to thank our listeners as well for joining us today. If you have any questions about insurance, home loans, or the home buying process, or basically the whole kit and caboodle, if you will, feel free to reach out to us and contact us by email at homeloans@unitedone.org. We'd love to highlight and answer any of your questions on a future show. And if you like what we're doing, we encourage you to give us a like and rate us wherever you get your podcasts, and feel free to share it with your family and friends as well. You're welcome to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and can be found at Facebook/UnitedOneCU, and we're also on Instagram at UnitedOneCU. We look forward to having you join us again next time. Until then, take care.